I attended my mother's birthday dinner. She complained about feeling tired lately. I'm an internist. I looked at her eyes, then her fingernails. Then I excused myself to the bathroom and cried. I knew that color. I'd seen it 100 times. Stage 4. The moment I saw my mother reach for the breadbasket, I knew she was dying. Sounds dramatic. Sounds like the kind of thing people say in movies when they want you to feel something. But I'm not being dramatic. I'm a doctor. 15 years of internal medicine. 15 years of reading bodies like other people read newspapers. And when her sleeve slipped back and I saw that bruise, deep purple, almost black at the center, the kind that blooms from nothing, the kind that means everything, my hands went cold around my wine glass. She didn't notice me looking. Nobody did. They were all watching Megan's husband attempt to light 67 candles without setting the tablecloth on fire. Everyone laughing, Dad making jokes about fire codes, my niece filming everything for Instagram, and I sat there, watching my mother smile, watching her pretend. I excused myself before they finished the candles, said something about the bathroom, walked past the host stand, past the kitchen doors, into that narrow hallway where restaurants keep their mops and broken dreams, locked myself in a single stall, put my back against the door, and fell apart, not crying, not at first, just this full-body tremor that started in my chest and radiated outward until even my teeth were shaking. Because I knew that bruise. I knew the yellow tint I'd seen in her sclera when she laughed. I knew the vertical ridges on her fingernails. I knew the 15 pounds she'd finally lost. I knew the fatigue she blamed on wedding planning. I'd seen this exact constellation 100 times. In exam rooms, in hospital beds, in charts stamped with words no family ever wants to read. Pancreatic, liver, something metastatic, something that doesn't negotiate. When I came back to the table, my eyes were red. Mom noticed immediately because mothers notice everything except what they don't want to see. Allergies? She asked. Yeah, I said. Something in here. She knew I was lying. I knew she knew. But there were candles to blow out and wishes to make, so we both just smiled and pretended we weren't already grieving. That was 3 months ago. What happened next broke something in me I'm not sure I'll ever fix. My name is Marcus Okonkwo, 39 years old, board-certified internist at St. Raphael's Medical Center in Baltimore. 14 years of telling people news they don't want to hear. 14 years of holding hands while monitors flatline and families collapse and the world keeps spinning like nothing happened. I'm good at my job. Not bragging, just a fact. My patient satisfaction scores are top 5%. My diagnostic accuracy rate hovers around 92%. I've caught things other doctors missed. Saved lives that should have ended. Built a reputation as the guy who sees what others don't. But all those years of training, all those accolades, all that expertise, none of it prepared me for what my mother did. Let me back up. My parents are Igbo, first-generation immigrants. Dad came over in 1979, worked 3 jobs while getting his accounting degree, built a tax practice from nothing. Mom followed 2 years later, taught elementary school for 3 decades, raised 3 kids, held everything together with prayer and palm oil and sheer force of will. We're close, not in some performative Instagram family way, actually close. Sunday dinners that last 4 hours, phone calls that go nowhere but somehow matter, the kind of closeness that comes from surviving together. Mom's 67th birthday was supposed to be simple. Her favorite restaurant, Lucia's, this Italian place downtown she's been going to since Reagan was president. Red checkered tablecloths, candles dripping wax down old Chianti bottles. Owner named Giuseppe who still comes out to kiss her on both cheeks. Megan organized everything. My younger sister, wedding planner by trade, control freak by nature. She'd coordinated the balloons, the flowers, the cake shaped like a rose garden because Mom's been tending hers for 40 years. Even flew in Uncle Emmanuel from Houston. I almost didn't go. That week had been brutal. Lost a patient. 44-year-old father of 3 came in with what we thought was pneumonia. Turned out to be stage 4 lung cancer that had already spread to his brain. I'd been the one to tell his wife. I'd been the one to watch her world end. By Friday night, I just wanted to sleep. Maybe drink. Definitely not put on a suit and pretend to be happy. But it was Mom, so I went. And I noticed. The first thing was the weight. Mom had always been soft, comfortable, the kind of body that hugged you back. But that night, her collarbone jutted out beneath her necklace. Her cheeks had hollowed. Her favorite dress, the green one she wore to my graduation, hung loose at the shoulders. You look great, I said when I hugged her. Lost some weight? She pulled back, waved her hand. Finally stuck to that Mediterranean diet. Dr. Okafor would be proud. I laughed. Dr. Okafor had been telling her to cut back on jollof rice for 20 years, but something in her eyes flickered, just for a second, like a tell in poker. The second thing was the fatigue. Mom's always been a hummingbird. Can't sit still. Constantly moving, hosting, refilling drinks, making sure everyone's plate is full. But that night, she kept sitting down, kept finding reasons to stay at the table while Megan ran around adjusting centerpieces. These heels, she said, rubbing her ankle, should have worn the flats. Third thing, the tremor. Subtle. Most people would miss it. But when she lifted her wine glass, her hand shook. Just slightly. Just enough. And then the bruise. I've seen a lot of bruises. Falls. Blood thinners. Domestic violence I had to pretend not to notice. But this one was different. This one had no cause. cause, no trauma, no reason to exist, unless the reason was inside her. That's when I went to the bathroom. That's when I counted backward from 100, trying to slow my heart rate. That's when I reminded myself that I was catastrophizing, that I was projecting my patient's death onto my mother, that I was seeing zebras when I should be looking for horses, except I wasn't. The next morning, I called Dad. When did Mom last see Dr. Okafor? He was silent for a moment. I could hear the coffee maker in the background, the familiar gurgle of their 30-year-old Mr. Coffee. Last month, I think. Said everything looked great. She told you that? Yeah, why? I paused. No reason. Just checking. I hung up, called Dr. Chidinma Okafor's office directly, gave my credentials, asked about Margaret Okonkwo's recent visit. The receptionist put me on hold. Vivaldi. Then silence. Then a different voice. Okafor herself. Marcus. Her tone was careful. I haven't seen your mother in almost 2 years. The floor dropped. That's not possible. She said she canceled her last 6 appointments, left messages saying she was too busy. I assumed she'd found another provider. She didn't. Silence. Marcus. Okafor's voice softened. Is there something I should know? No, I said. Nothing. Thanks. I drove to my parents' house. Didn't call. Didn't warn her. Just showed up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, still wearing yesterday's scrubs because I hadn't slept. Mom opened the door, saw my face. Didn't ask why I was there. She just stepped aside, like she'd been waiting. We sat at the kitchen table. Same table where she taught me to read, where I studied for my MCATs while she made egusi soup, where she told me she was proud when I got into Johns Hopkins for residency, where I'd eaten 10,000 meals and never once imagined this conversation. How long have you known? She folded her hands. The bruise had faded to yellow-green, still visible, still wrong. 9 months. 9 months. While I complained about hospital politics, while Megan argued about save-the-date designs, while Dad planned their 40th anniversary trip to Lagos, while we all lived our normal, oblivious lives, my mother had been dying. Why didn't you tell me? My voice cracked. Hated myself for it. I'm a doctor. I could have gotten you into trials, found specialists. I could have. That's exactly why, Marcus. She looked at me, eyes tired but clear. No fear, just something like peace. I didn't want you to be my doctor. I wanted you to be my son, just a little while longer. The words hit me like a physical force. Every Sunday dinner, every phone call, you just saw your mom. Not a patient, not a case, not a problem to solve, just me, making your favorite chin-chin, telling you to call that nice girl from church, being your mother. She reached across the table. Her hand was cold, thin. I could feel the bones beneath the skin. I got to watch you live without carrying this weight. 9 more months of having a son instead of a caretaker. But I could have helped. You would have tried to save me. She squeezed my hand. And when you couldn't, it would have destroyed you. I've watched you come home from work, Marcus. I've seen what losing patients does to you. I couldn't be one of them. Not yet. I opened my mouth, closed it. 14 years of knowing exactly what to say to frightened families, and I couldn't form a single word. I have plans, she continued. Good doctors. Dr. Efyong at Hopkins, oncology specialist. She's the best. I've been managing the pain. I've got a timeline. Does Dad, since last week, I wanted to tell you first because I knew you'd figure it out. She almost smiled. You always were too smart for your own good. Does Megan know? Tonight, after you leave, I wanted to talk to each of you separately. I stared at the tablecloth. Yellow gingham. Same pattern since I was 12. Coffee stains Dad never quite got out. Whole history of our family in those faded squares. What is it? I asked. Exactly. She hesitated. Pancreatic adenocarcinoma, stage 4 when they found it. Already in the liver. I closed my eyes. Pancreatic adenocarcinoma. 5-year survival rate. Less than 10%. Stage 4 with hepatic metastases. Median survival. 3 to 6 months. I'd given this exact prognosis to families 40, 50 times. Watched their faces crumble. Offered hollow comfort about quality of life and palliative care. Now I was the one crumbling. Now I need you to do something for me, Mom said. I looked up. Let me be your mother for whatever time I have left. Not the other way around. Can you do that? I sat there. Morning light through the yellow curtains she'd made 30 years ago. Coffee smell. Dad's footsteps creaking upstairs. I don't know if I can, I admitted. Then learn. She released my hand. Because I'm not spending my last months watching you try to fix something that can't be fixed. I want dinners. I want arguments about politics. I want you to bring home a woman I can interrogate about her intentions. She raised an eyebrow. I want normal, as long as I can have it. I left an hour later. Sat in my car for 30 minutes before I could drive. Called in sick to work for the first time in 4 years. Then I went home and made a plan. Because I couldn't just do nothing. The first thing I did was request her records. Not through official channels. Mom had made it clear she didn't want me involved medically. But I knew people. Called in favors. Dr. Amara Balogun at Hopkins, friend from residency, owed me for covering her shifts during her divorce. She pulled the imaging for me, off the record. Sent it to my personal email with a note. I'm sorry, Marcus. Call me if you need anything. I sat in my apartment at 2 a.m., scrolling through CT scans on my laptop. The mass in the pancreatic head was unmistakable. 3 centimeters, encasing the superior mesenteric artery, liver lesions, at least 4 visible, retroperitoneal lymphadenopathy, inoperable. I'd known it would be, but seeing it, actually seeing the tumor that was killing my mother, felt like being stabbed. I called Dr. Ngozi Efyong the next day. She was cautious nervous at first. Patient confidentiality, couldn't discuss without consent, but I told her I just needed to understand the treatment plan, that Mom had asked me to stay out of it, but I needed to know she was in good hands. Your mother is remarkable, Effiong said finally. She came to me 9 months ago with a clear understanding of her prognosis. Most patients in her situation want aggressive intervention, chemo, radiation, anything that might buy time. And she didn't? She asked me one question. What will preserve my quality of life longest? Not quantity, quality. A pause. We started her on a modified FOLFIRINOX regimen, lower doses, fewer side effects. She's responded well, better than expected. The disease has progressed slowly. How much time? Silence. Dr. Okonkwo. Marcus, I can't. How much time does my mother have? More silence. Then, at current progression, 6 months. Maybe 8 if we're lucky. But these things are unpredictable. Could be less. Could be more. I thanked her, hung up, stared at the ceiling until my alarm went off for work. The third thing I did, the thing I'm not proud of, was start monitoring. I didn't tell Mom, didn't ask permission, just started showing up more often. Sunday dinners, random Tuesday lunches, dropping by to help Dad fix the gutters when I really just wanted to see how she was moving, how she was eating, whether the jaundice was worsening. I tracked everything, weight, color, energy levels, appetite, kept a spreadsheet on my phone like she was any other patient, noted when she started having trouble with stairs, when she switched from wine to water at dinner, when she started wearing long sleeves to hide the port they'd installed for chemo. She knew what I was doing. Of course she did, but she let me. I think she understood I needed something to control. The unraveling started 6 weeks later. I was at work, Tuesday afternoon, middle of a routine exam, with a 70-year-old man named Walter, who came in every 3 months to complain about his arthritis and flirt with the nurses. My phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then started ringing. Megan. She collapsed, my sister said before I could speak. Mom collapsed. We're at Hopkins. They're running tests. I don't remember leaving the exam room. Don't remember what I said to Walter. Don't remember the drive. Just flashes. Highway, parking garage, elevator, the smell of antiseptic that usually comforts me, but now made me want to vomit. Dad was in the waiting room. Looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Megan sat beside him, mascara streaked, still wearing her gym clothes. Uncle Emmanuel paced by the window, phone pressed to his ear, probably calling relatives in Nigeria. What happened? Dad looked up. She was gardening. Just fell. Couldn't get up. Said her legs wouldn't work. I felt my medical training click into place like armor. Defense mechanism. If I could be a doctor, I wouldn't have to be a son. Did she hit her head? Any loss of consciousness? I don't think so. She was awake the whole time, just confused. Confusion. Leg weakness. My mind raced through differentials, hypoglycemia, electrolyte imbalance, metastatic disease to the brain or spine. I walked to the nurse's station. A woman in scrubs looked up. Recognition flickered across her face. Dr. Okonkwo, I'm so sorry about your mother. Dr. Effiong is with her now. She asked me to let you know she'll be out shortly. 23 minutes. I counted everyone. When Effiong finally emerged, her face told me everything before she said a word. Let's talk somewhere private. We walked to a small consultation room. Same beige walls, same tissue box on the table, same chairs where families collapse when they hear words like spread and aggressive and comfort care. I'd been on the other side of this conversation 100 times. Now I understood why the families always looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. The cancer has progressed, Effiong said, more rapidly than we'd hoped. The new imaging shows lesions in her T8 and T9 vertebrae. That's causing the leg weakness, spinal mets,